3 cards. Then one person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You're starting to stop me.
Everyone look around the room. Look at everybody in this room. One day you might have a conflict with somebody that's sitting right next to you. You know how you would handle it? Do you know how you would solve it? Today I will be informing you on how to resolve conflicts in the workplace. I'll be discussing variables of individuals that conflicts that individuals have, how to avoid workplace conflicts, and how to solve conflicts. According to the International Journal of Conflict Management, men and women have different types of conflicts or different ways of getting into a conflict. Men tend to be more aggressive, more competitive. So when you're more aggressive, more competitive, you're going to, obviously competition is going to kind of get people into a place where they want to do better than the other person, and that could lead to a conflict. Women, on the other hand, tend to be more compliant, and this affects their style of management. Knowing the variables in individuals and conflicts are very important. Knowing how to avoid conflict is very beneficial. The Journal of Work and Stress, according to the Journal of Work and Stress, the number one way to having a strong locus of control. Now, locus of control, I'm showing you over here, is it's actually you kind of thinking whatever you do in the world leads to whatever is better, whatever you do today is going to lead to whatever is going to happen tomorrow. So if you do good today, something good is probably going to happen tomorrow. But if you screw up today, it completely changes the outcome of tomorrow. So having good locus of control and knowing what you're doing and having confidence in what you're doing, your chance of conflict is going to go down. Having success at work is another good way to not get into a conflict. If you know you're doing good at work, you are getting along with everybody, you know you're doing your job correctly, people aren't going to get on you, that's a good way to stay out of conflict. And then your physical and psychological well-being are also something that leads to you getting stressed out and having other conflicts. The higher the level of stress in your job, people suffer less from interpersonal conflicts. The higher level of your locus of control is when people suffer less from interpersonal conflicts. When you do get into a conflict, you do want to use some problem-solving techniques and management strategies. The best way to resolve a conflict is not to get in one to begin with. Though you might try to avoid the conflict, you can't always do that. And the best ways to solve it, according to the American Journal of Nursing, the best way to solve it is having good communication skills. Our example is we all work together for 24 hours. Eventually, we're going to get into a conflict. We're here. We get on each other's nerves, but we solve it pretty well because we're like a family. When you get out in the streets and you're with Sunstar and you guys disagree on something, it's harder to do. You get into a conflict. What everyone has to agree on, the first step is agreeing on a common goal. So out there, you're agreeing that, okay, we have a patient, we know what we have to do for them, we have to get it fixed, get it right, and get them to the hospital. When you guys have a conflict in front of the patient, you try and solve it right there, but you also don't want to get into a fight doing it. If you do have to have a discussion over it, you should set some ground rules on what the discussion is going to be about, so it doesn't get way off topic. It stays in focus on what you're trying to do. And when you're having a discussion, you want to limit the number of people that are involved in the discussion. So you definitely don't want to bring in outsiders, But if, say like the Sunstar example, if it's a paramedic and a paramedic from the fire department, a paramedic from Sunstar in the conflict, and they're disagreeing, and it's not something that the EMT can really help them with, you don't want the EMTs throwing their 2 cents in when it's a medic problem. Workplace, conflicts in the workplace may not always be avoidable. However, with more information, employees are more aware. When employees know the variables of the individual and how to avoid conflict, it's much easier to solve. Now look around the room. If you have a conflict, you'll know you'll be okay. How long was that? Say, my timer didn't go off.
Almost 6 minutes.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and open the floor up to some questions.
Still recording?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know you said to limit the number of people in the discussion. Would you recommend having a moderator?
I would.
Okay.
I would try and solve the problem between yourselves first. Like I said, getting more people involved isn't really beneficial. But if you can keep it between the two of you, then it's great. And if you can't solve it, then I would bring somebody else in to kind of try and mediate the situation.
What if you can't agree on a common goal?
If you can't agree on a common goal, then I think right away you should bring in a mediator at that point, because you're obviously not going to get anywhere discussing nothing. Bring in a mediator and try and figure out, see if they can help you figure out what your common goal is.
What if somebody breaks one of the ground rules?
If someone breaks one of the ground rules that you've set for the discussion, I would definitely just stop it right there, because it's not, you're just going to lead to more conflict. Stop it right there and try and reset, and if that doesn't work, take a break, maybe start over from the conflict.
What if you witness the conflict and aren't involved in it?
If you witness the conflict, you're not involved in it, I would say go ahead and if you notice it's going to lead to a problem, they're not going to talk it out. Maybe pull one of the parties aside, talk to them, see if you can figure out how you can help them, or talk them into trying to resolve the conflict with the other person.
How would you set ground rules for the discussion?
Setting the ground rules for discussion. First of all, you want to figure out what the problem is, or what your common goal is. You want to sit there. We're not going to be rude to each other. We're going to be respectful. Basically, just nothing. You want to set rules that are going to not create a problem, more of a problem than you already have during the discussion. I think that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.